Hello, everybody. Karen here. It's been a minute. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Tina.
Hello, everyone.
So come in today for a chat that we feel that we haven't had in a very long time, but we'd like to come on to just get back into the game of having our daily or usual discussions. And hopefully, we'll be able to add some new videos along the queue as we go along. Today we have nothing really in particular to talk about, maybe everything and anything. See that how far the tangent goes. But I think it's been a while since we had a video. I think the last one that we posted together was in the beginning of June. So yeah, it's been like a
Mhm.
good quarterly type thing. Maybe we do 4 videos a year. Oh.
How was the summer?
The summer was really hot. Uh yeah, like right after my son graduated elementary school, we went to visit Tina for a while and it was hot, really hot. I just remember it being really hot and a lot of mosquitoes.
Mhm.
Yeah. How about you? Hot
Oh,
too? Did you have the same experience?
I felt like it was a really strange summer for not just us, but a lot of people were just saying how it was really strange. We saw a lot of things coming through in sessions and a lot of targeting and just really and a ramping up of energy and how it feels like the astral plane is almost overlapping with our reality now, and we're becoming more sensitive to it and seeing more manifestations of it in our physical reality. And I think we talked about a few of those things in our video with Iris, but like, things showing up in your reality that weren't physical objects that show up in your reality that weren't there previously, or things disappearing. And really, over the summer, it felt to me like timelines were shifting rapidly, like really fast. And it
Hmm.
was a little bit destabilizing, I would say.
Yes, is a good word. Destabilizing is an excellent word because I feel like when you're comfortable enough-ish, they switch it up on you. Yeah, just recalling back from when I was having a lot of flare-ups, like, things happening with my skin and my body and all that stuff, um, was around the time when I was having issues like eczema type things around um like around my armpit area. That's usually where I get them, like the flare-ups. And then yeah, and that's around the time too when you were able to remove that bump on my neck. I have like a knot, like a forever knot that I've like here on my right shoulder. And it's around the time when I was clearing via antibiotics, like whatever was going on with my armpits and like the massive itchiness and lymphatic bumps. I don't know what they were, like some bacteria, I don't know. Those things were removed. And then that bump left, and then my all the armpit stuff left too around the same time. And then they came back recently. I woke up and I was having issues again with my armpits, and then that bump is back. So it's like as if they kind of switched the bodies. I don't know what. That's what it feels like every time, or they go back a timeline, like let's rewind time and fuck with her, and they
Mm.
go back, and I'm like, okay. Just like how we spoke about with that thing with Iris, like I would wake up one morning and I would be taller, like physically taller, and then I would shrink up again and become small. Like I was having different physical bodies shapes
Mhm.
between the days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really odd thing, when you feel like you're in a different body every day.
Right. It's hard to know like which aches and pains you have to deal with for the day because sometimes they're there and then sometimes they go. like leading up to summer vacation, I was always complaining about this teeny tiny patch that I had on my ring finger here. It was itchy, getting itchier and itchier and itchier. That when I got to Tina's, it was like, okay, gonna kind of break it down a little bit. I was taking some salt baths around the time and, trying to help clear that. And yeah, I had put like a Palmolive antibacterial on it and just let it sit on it for a little bit. And then I feel like everything just kind of like opened up from there because we were pulling wires out of my finger. We were pulling out a lot of like really weird moving elements out of my finger. So it's like all the nanotech and all the wires and Morgellons or whatever it is that were coming to the surface. And I do have like random flare-ups and it has spread throughout like most of my finger, a little bit into the pinky and into the middle. But I feel like it's gotten under control since I've been home and but I've been taking more baths like in a more frequent like rate and increasing the salt stuff and whatnot. So I mean the detoxing has been more since I've been home too, and taking more MMS as well as needed. I'm not following it religiously. I just feel like when I feel called to do it, I'm going to do it. And sometimes I need more than other days.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Oh, I think we should share those videos because I have them all on Google Photos, and we could probably do a video on my Morgellons journey on my finger with all of that commentary.
since we're going there, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
um, so I don't know how much you guys know. I mean, I know like, people in our group are aware, um, but I'm not sure how much the public is aware, and I'm not even sure how much we can say on YouTube. So we'll have to speak in code, I guess. But
Hopefully, I'll understand the code. Did we talk about this before we went on?
before we went on what?
On Before you press record, what we're talking about? The topic you're
Uh,
talking about right now that you want to speak in code about? Because I might be like, what's the code?
I don't know.
Okay, well, let's hope. If not,
Um,
if not, I'll ask you to pause. Well, keep talking and I'll let you know if I know. Sorry.
you
Go ahead.
know.
Okay, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Me.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about me.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
me.
you know.
It's sorry, I've
You
been
know.
out of the game for a while. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know.
No, I'm just saying, like, we haven't talked about that publicly yet, about
What?
really what's going
Oh,
on.
this? My finger?
Yeah, that and
Oh.
what's going on with humanity and the fact that transhumanism is here. It's here. It's not coming. It's here. And, I don't know. So there are doctors and researchers that are doing the investigation into what's going on in the blood of humanity, right? Um, and everybody's aware of the shots and, that people that have received them are affected, right? But I don't think everyone's aware that it's not just them. Like now it's everyone.
Hmm.
Every single human, plant, and animal is affected by the shots because they're self-spreading.
Hmm.
So the blood of people who have received it and the blood of people who have not are identical.
Hmm.
There's no difference. The same nano-sized materials are being found in both, quantum dots and fibers and Morgellons and all of those things. Yes.
So what does that implicate if we're all the same, whether you got it or not? What are the implications of that upon us exiting, if that is a desire to an individual, like exiting the matrix?
I don't know. I think really what it comes down to is because, these materials can hijack the body, right? If we all
Hmm.
have them, they obviously have the capability of doing so. But how affected is your spirit, right? Like, I think
Hmm.
that's the thing. And
Yeah.
when you're leading from your spirit and you're leading from your heart, they have a much more difficult time controlling you, because the ultimate goal here, right, is control. And really, like zero lack, like complete lack of privacy, because they're able to read what's happening from within your body.
Hmm.
And it's like, what they've done is, each of us now is a node on this network. So it literally is like a world wide web, and it's all connected. And it's constantly reading the data between each of us and what's happening inside of the body, and has created this. What we saw the other day in a session was someone who has received the shots and has severe injury and damage, can't feel her energy at all anymore. Has had a brief, I guess, recollection of it, or has felt it briefly here and there, but is never really able to fully anchor it in the body since then. And it seems to be getting worse. It's not getting better, it's getting worse. And so, because we knew that the ultimate goal of those shots was for that, to eject the energy of the person, whether you want to call that soul, spirit, whatever, from life force, chi, whatever word you want to use, from the body, so that this technology could then take over. And then through that technology, whatever other entity also wants to inhabit the body. So it's like creating an open vessel, basically.
Hmm.
And I don't know the answer to what does that mean for us. I don't know, ultimately. I mean, we're really just trying to figure
Make
it
it.
out and take the next best step.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
find yeah, will is part of it too. Just
Will.
as, that was a big topic of that specific session of exerting will and whatever the hell that means.
Yes, because their goal, the goal of, transhumanism, is literally to crush the will of the human.
Oh, it's been crushed.
Yeah. And we're seeing this a lot, this apathy that people have,
Hmm.
like, I just don't care about anything anymore. I don't care if I live or die. I just don't care about anything, and really that energy of apathy and the loss of the will is even a much lower energy than fear or aggression, or, some of those other low vibrational emotions, because it's just a dead energy. There's
Yeah,
no
there's no life
movement.
force in there.
There's
It's
no
like
life force.
stagnant, and it's all I see it is like just moving on a conveyor belt, like nothing's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where they want us. And that's really being injected, you know.
Mm.
I think people need to realize that that feeling isn't necessarily coming from you, but it's being, what's the word? It's being perpetrated upon you, purposefully,
Yeah.
because they want to take the will of the human away. Yeah. So, us realizing that, because, I've talked about this before, but in 20 into 2020 into 21, when these shots started to come out, like, I was feeling the effects of them, right? But then also questioning, how could I be? Because my mind couldn't. Hi, Bubby. I have a cat now, by the way. um my mind couldn't comprehend how I could be affected by someone just by being in their presence. you know? And lately, so I've come to this whole like conclusion that yes, we've all been affected. And I'm not crazy because now we're seeing the actual physical proof that we've been affected. And that proof is being seen in the blood of uninjected people, that we have the same technology that people who have received it have. So, like, once you grasp that, then you're like, okay, then what do we do about this? Like, how do we heal from this? And so that's been a journey. And like, what do we do now? And one of the biggest things is detox baths. And so it's been like daily detox baths with the amount of energy that we're exposed to, not just the nano, but people are just carrying entities. Like we saw in our client session who has had the shot, that there was this like shiny black entity thing that was jumping from person to person to person, and it was growing. In a way, these things are growing. And I've noticed over the past week or 2 weeks that when all all that has to happen is that I'm in the presence of someone who has received the shot, because I still think there's a difference energetically between those who have and those who haven't. But when I'm in the presence of those who have, I can feel almost immediately that something lodges in my throat. And then it almost like starts to spread through my body. I noticed that like being in the presence of my neighbor. And then the other day I was getting in the car to go to the store, and the kids across the street ran over to give me a hug. I gave them a hug, kissed them on the head. That was it. They're jabbed. And then I get in the car, I get to the store, and then all of a sudden the air conditioner doesn't work. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then all of a sudden I have a sore throat. Like I feel something in my throat again. And then I come home and my cat's motorized toys aren't working. So I'm like, okay, something's happening. I must have picked something up from the kids. So Karen checks my field, finds this like weird etheric worm parasite with like quantum dots and nano and stuff attached to it. And it was like sucking the energy in, right?
Yeah, it looked like the snake that I think the game is called Snake from the Nokia game, the old Nokia phones, where the snake builds itself and they're literally just dots connected to each other and they just get longer.
Hmm. Yeah. So that was in my field. And it was sucking in all the energy from all around me. And then later that night, I got a detox bath and I felt this, whatever had lodged in my throat, I felt it move down into my lungs. And then all of a sudden, my lungs felt like really, really constricted. Like I couldn't take a deep breath. Um, and that's happened a few times over the last couple weeks. And what I was visualizing was it was like some kind of smart dust, like some kind of nano that just it lodged in the body and then spread down into the lungs. So with the detox bath and visualization, like I was able to clear it and then I was okay. But again, it's just this constant onslaught that we're under. And our fields, our actual auric fields, our biofields are being weakened by this technology. It's like happening from the inside out. And for some people, it's actually creating, if not all of us, it's creating an artificial biofield, which is what we saw in the session the other day. The the energy field that was created actually was um, coming from her throat out. And she said it was like being projected. And it was a frenetic type energy, kind of like a scattered, ungrounded, frenetic type energy, not the organic life force chi energy or earth energy that we're used to feeling, but it's kind of like how we would describe a false light energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you see this technology under the microscope, it is light. It's made of light, but it's false light. It's not organic light. It's
Mm-hmm.
synthetic. It's man-made technology that's inside the blood. And like when Karen's talking about like pulling this stuff out of her skin on her finger here, we've pulled threads or wires, whatever you want to call them, like clear wire type things that when the light reflects on them, you can see the little lights inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And this stuff is sentient, it's self-spreading, and it exists on multiple dimensions at the same time, which is why it will sometimes disappear.
We still have that video. That happened to us too, like pulling the thread out and then it literally disappears.
Yeah. Which is what makes it hard to clear because you can clear like one level and it just moves up and then comes back down and all of those things. So people are really struggling to stay clear, to get clear and stay clear
Yeah.
because the technology is so advanced and intelligent. And it's really it really is like, transhumanism is happening now, and most people are completely unaware that it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I was showing my sister like the videos, like a little bit of like, what was going on when it was at its worst, like really at the beginning. And they're like, oh, that's just dust. Got in. I'm like, yeah, even if it is dust, it's still crap. It's everywhere. We're breathing it in. Like it's even if it is. We have to get out of the belief system of what dust is and understand what it is. Because even if it's coming, like we're breathing it in and it expels itself, however, the way it does. We eat it, we're drinking it. Even after I had washed my hand and air dried it, and like really like put my other hand on top of it, clear, like clean. When we were zooming in at 10 times on the camera, there was like some shit just like hanging out there and like moving, coming out. We would remove it like right here in the middle of my finger. And then when we would come back to look again, there was another one coming out and then another one coming out. They just kept showing up there. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, where are they coming from? Where could they possibly coming from in between takes? And it wasn't moist. So it was just
It's not
there.
dust.
It's not dust.
It's not dust. It's coming from under the skin. That's why like it's itchy because the skin's breaking down because the body is expelling the toxins. Like that's how the body works. It's expelling the toxins. So, and you could see how it it grew around like the lines in the skin. Like we have lines in the
Mhm.
skin. It grew itself in the actual, you know, lines that were there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it uses the body too. It uses the protein of the body somehow. It hijacks the body and mimics the creation in order to self-assemble.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we all have this stuff within us and it's making us more sensitive to the frequencies in the environment, you know. Um, like for myself, I get flashes of heat that come through my body. This morning, I was really paying attention to how it was coming in and what exactly was happening. And it was really interesting because um, I saw a visual, like it was like a beam coming through my heart right in the center. And then it's weird because when that happens, the air around me goes completely dead. There's no movement. It's just like a dead space. It's like the energy around me stops. There's no air flowing in, there's no energy moving. It's like this dead space. And then my body reacts in this, you know, flash of heat. And then while that's happening, I'm just like observing it and like feeling into the energy of it. It does feel very inorganic. And when I saw it this morning, I saw like there was a man behind this beam technology as if someone was doing it. I don't know how true that is, or I don't know if that was just some kind of interpretation of it. But I just was paying attention to like when it stopped, I could feel the energy flowing again, and then I could feel the airflow again. And so my body came back to a normal temperature. But I was literally laying right in front of the air conditioner, and the air wasn't reaching me. It was like there was this force field there that wasn't allowing the air through. So I'm not exactly sure what's happening, but it's definitely not organic at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to hear like from you guys if you're experiencing any strange energy or anything weird going on with you, because I think it's important that we talk about these things. There's not a lot of people really talking about this, and I feel like this is really the most important subject we could be talking about, because literally the takeover of humanity is happening as we speak, and not that many people are aware that it's happening, or if they are aware, they're not talking about it, you know, because there's this huge denial factor that kicks in. And I get it, because who wants to believe that? But if we don't like address it, then I don't know what. Address it and, you know, do what we can to detox it from the body. And there's only like, as of right now, like some very specific things that work. And one of them seems to be EDTA, vitamin C, the detox baths help, and then like the nano-triangles and those kind of devices that people are making to help deactivate the programs that are running, because it's like the nano is running some kind of program, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to self-assemble and all of these things. And when you see it under the microscope, you can actually see the little dots working to do whatever they're doing and assemble, and it's like they each have a different job to do. Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah. So the electricity in the blood of humanity actually has decreased by 47% because these things are stealing our life force. So that's also what's contributing to the decrease in the will of humanity, in the feeling of apathy. Is like they're literally stealing our life force from the inside out. It's no longer just like entities that are siphoning from us. They're inside of us, siphoning from the inside of us now. And that's why everyone's so tired and just feeling listless and like, you know, like it's just everything just feels so hard. And that's why. So Yeah, they're really chipping away at our will to survive. Even people are having like thoughts of suicide and, I don't want to exist here anymore and things like that. Those are being implanted. So, yeah, it's a really tough time right now.
Mhm.
Yeah. What helps you to stay afloat?
Um, I guess keeping myself busy. There's not really much more to it. I mean, I'm always immersed in some kind of stuff that has to do with the kids. This is the season where I gotta, change the tires for winter. The season's changing. There's things to do, parent teacher meetings, and I'm just in that right now. Like at least September, October is when it does that, and then after that it kind of settles a little bit. And then it's the holidays, so then you're busy for Halloween and then the holidays, and then just dealing with winter, so hibernating. Then it's spring break, and then yeah, there's always something. But it's
I'm like, how do you stay afloat? Oh, I changed my tires.
yeah, I just keep going. I don't deny myself things that I have to do, and I just deal with it. So sometimes that that requires changing your tires and getting the free coffee and peanuts at the dealership. I don't know. I just don't. I still continue to do the things that I do. Like I go still visit my family. I go to play with the birds at my sister's. Like I don't know. I just don't. But but then when I'm home, like after a day or whatever, at night I take the baths. So, but it's not something that has become like, oh, I gotta go take a bath. I like it. I've made it become like something like a ritual where I feel cleansed and ready to go into my bed, and that's it. Like I do my big clearings there and reconnecting myself in there. And I literally am like this inside the bath, like the whole time. And I turn the water on and off with my foot. Like sometimes my daughter comes and she hangs out with me while I'm like in the bath. And I asked her, I'm like, can you go make me a triple, a double, a quad? Which she knows what it is. It's the MMS drops. So she goes and she's like, no problem. And she's my bartender. She goes to make my MMS, brings it to me, and I'm just drinking and then I go back again. Like it's not stay there until I can't taste the salt anymore in the bath. And I get out. That's my cue to go. If I'm in there for a while, like I'll, you know, like rub my legs, scratch my legs, and take the layer of skin or whatever the hell that is at the top. Like remove that layer of fake,
Biofilm.
yeah, biofilm and remove it.
Yeah.
But yeah, since I've taken like extra baths, like my scalp has improved a lot, which is good. So that stuff has gone. um
Yeah, because people are noticing like dandruff, like losing hair, stuff like that.
I'm still losing hair normally, like not like the same thing, but I'm not, it's not no not abnormal for me. But I would get dry scalp a lot. Like it would go through the seasons too, but some months are worse. But I find like since I've been taking extra salty baths, like it's been taking care of the situation.
That's
So I'm
good.
not worried about that. Uh what else? I don't think there's anything else really. I don't do anything else other than my daily regular routines. But I am exposed a lot, that's for sure. And I try to just take care of it. the other day I had like, like I've talked about my incontinence and how that like being around people who have it are like affect my bladder in that way. But yeah, the other day was weird because I usually before like when I leave my parents' house, it's about a 45 to an hour ride home. And I pee before I leave. But like 5 minutes after we left, I had to go so bad, like really bad. And then there was traffic on the way home. And I'm like, oh my God. And it was like a full on pee, like as if like I hadn't peed all day. So I don't know if that was relative or it was just like a fluke. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Well, in the other video, I talked about how they're accessing our fields through the heart and the bladder.
mm,
Like you can actually find this information. There's this woman, Sabrina, that talks about it. I'll link um, her Odyssey channel down below. But she has a technical background, so she can explain it and understand the technology and what exactly it is that they're doing.
mm,
That kind of goes over my head, but when she showed that they're accessing through the heart and the bladder, which we talked about in the other video, that made so much sense to me because sometimes I'll have like that weird flutter that comes through my heart. And I'm like, it's a little bit scary when there's a lot of exposure, especially. And it's a little bit scary because you don't know where it's coming from, you know? And then the bladder thing is interesting too, because at nighttime, sometimes I'll be up like every hour to pee and like not just a little bit, but like buckets, like every hour. And I'm like, where is this coming from? That's ridiculous.
mhm,
So, and the hot flashes aren't as bad at night as they were previously since I've been detoxing, but it would come with initially when it was really bad, it would come with like it would feel like a jolt to my system that would like wake me up like an adrenaline rush. And then I would have to go to the bathroom. And I used to, when that would happen, um, I would have an implanted thought to eat, like to have food, which that doesn't happen anymore. So I know it was being implanted. Um, but since starting and doing the detox, which I have a document that I laid out like my plan for detoxing this stuff, if and some general research and information. If anyone is interested in it, just email me and I'll send it to you. Um, if you want to implement, some of the suggested things, I'm not a doctor. This is just what I'm doing. And if you follow any of the advice, you're fully responsible for any of the um, outcomes or emotional processing that it takes to fully understand what's happening here, because it's a lot. Um, but if you're open-minded and you really feel called, just send me an email and I'll send you the document. But since implementing like the protocol that I'm using, a lot of the symptoms have faded and they were actually almost completely gone for, I would say, a full month before it started to like cycle back around again. Because I think what's happening is there's certain activations that they're sending out through the population through frequency. And when you were here, we actually experienced that kind of activation and caught it on one of the outside cameras where you could see the waves. Remember that? We could see the waves coming through,
mhm,
and you could feel the effects of it in the body as well, where
mhm,
it feels like there's electricity running through you. And that's what Sabrina said. It's like they're basically frying you from the inside out, like they're electrocuting you. And that's what it feels like. It feels like there's like electricity running through the body. Um, so yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And that's not even the entity shit. That's just
Yeah, let's talk about the entities. I miss them.
Yeah. I
Like,
miss
remember when
that.
we say like, oh, things are ramping up, you know, we would say that a lot in videos. Things are ramping up. Things I miss those days when it was easy, when things are ramping up, when we're having like ascension symptoms.
Yeah.
Those are the
It's
days.
it's interesting because yeah, and so there is a lot going on, um a lot going on with the sun and that kind of stuff too, like space weather stuff. There's a lot going on there. So a lot of added radiation coming into Earth too, because the magnetosphere is thinning. And so we're getting more of that radiation from the sun through the flares and all that stuff, which is then, you know, increasing the symptoms we're already feeling from being full of the tech in our bodies.
Mhm.
But it's interesting reading through, some people that do the energy reports about like what's going on with the space energy and stuff and the symptoms you could have, the ascension symptoms you could have. And everybody in the comments is just like, oh my God, I just want to die. I can't do this anymore. When's this energy gonna stop? Like,
Mhm.
and
It's a hard program to break through too. There's so many programs to break through.
yeah, these poor people aren't even aware of what's actually happening in reality with their bodies and their energy systems.
Yeah. They're literally frying to death.
Yeah.
We're all gonna be like Kentucky Fried Chicken. Maybe ascend. Oh my God.
So, speaking of entities, what we've seen too is that there are more portals opening up that are allowing more entities in,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so that's also adding to why everything feels so intense and hard. And people are also noticing changes.
Oh, was that part of like the black hole portal? But it's not black hole, it was something else.
Black Star.
See, I remember bits, tiny bits.
Yeah, you saw this like black star. I don't the word black star came through and there were like black particles coming in.
Yeah.
But we've seen that before.
Hmm.
Oh,
I'm sure
I
there's
think
many,
the black
multiple.
star is the sun.
It could
I
be,
think
yeah.
it's the portal in the sun.
Oh, maybe that's why there's that black dot in the sun.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
Yeah, I just had a flashback of, oh, there's a guy that was doing research into that and he called it the black star. He called the sun the black star. Yeah, I think I linked that in the document too. Yeah,
Hmm.
because you've seen those black particles coming from the sun before, but this time you called it the black star.
Yeah. Okay.
So it
Yeah,
feels like,
I don't read stuff or research things beforehand. Tina always confirms it to me. She's like, I read it. I saw that last night. I'm like, I bet. So it's good to know. Unless we're just that again telepathic, or we talked about it and then we go back a timeline like behind rewind, and then I'm like find things that we've already found, already lived through. Rewind. Well, it's saying like we don't know how this fucking place works. Like how
it
many times have we had this freaking conversation, you know?
is quite fascinating though.
It is because it happens every time. Every time.
Speaking of, we had a really interesting case the other day. 10-year-old little girl was having really strange behavioral issues, anxiety, um,
Cutting.
cutting. Yeah. So her mom came to us for a session for her. And we found that so she had a very traumatic birth. She did not want to come out. She did not.
Oh yeah, that's when I was saying about the cat going into a carrier.
Mm. There were a lot of synchronicities with this, with the connection with her mom and different things that were connecting between us. And even during this session, Karen at one point said, we were talking about her not wanting to come out of the womb. And Karen said the words like it was like putting a cat in a carrier. And as she's saying that, like the cat's like freaking out in the background or something was going on. I saw her, oops, I saw mom like trying to like handle whatever the cat was doing. Like at that exact time, there were so many synchronicities. Um, so they actually had to pull her out with forceps. And I think she was also induced too, and it was just really, really traumatic. And she so during that, so when there's a birth, a portal opens to bring that soul through. And during this open portal, an earthbound soul came in
Mm-hmm.
and attached to the baby during the open portal.
Yeah, right out the gate.
Yeah. So this little girl hasn't even known her energy without this attachment since birth. It was the earthbound soul she was 4 to 6 years old, 4 to 6 year old little girl who had died in the hospital. And she died while she was like waiting for her little sister to come. So I guess mom was pregnant and she was waiting, for the birth of her little sister when she died. And then she kind of took on this little girl, we'll call her M, as her little sister. So she had been with her the whole time and kind of cloaked her energy, because when Karen connected, all she was kind of seeing was this like fuzzy overlay around her, right? And it was like her energy had wrapped around M, and to where like there wasn't much room for her actual energy. Like she was only taking up this little space from throat down to like mid calf. She wasn't able to fully inhabit the body or the energy field, because all of this was taken up by the earthbound, who was in a way protecting her, was acting as a protector, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't feel that there was any malicious intent whatsoever. It was really just she really thought it was her sister.
Yeah. So that actually took some time because the merging was very tight. Like the energy was almost
Mm.
braided in a
Almost like
way.
a walk-in.
Yeah. And so it's almost like two souls inhabiting that body. And you have to, yeah, pull them apart.
Yeah.
First, you have to explain to this little girl she didn't even know she was dead.
Yeah. It was sad.
Yeah.
But she
And
was okay after. I mean, like when she was able to really free herself or understand what happened.
mm-hmm,
They're usually pretty like they're okay. They're not resistors. Sometimes they
mm-hmm.
feel sad, but it's not human sad. It's not like to that degree where it's like really intense, but just more like, okay, I get it. And if
Yeah.
there are strong feelings around it, it's usually because they have entities.
Mm-hmm,
But once they're sovereign, like after we remove the entities, they're usually very clear.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So that took some time to unwind her energy from the system, and then really encouraging M's energy to take up that space, because she was so used to not taking up that space and really being in this small little pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then we saw something really interesting. So what happened was she was in school when she cut herself, and she's kind of like the leader of the pack at school, of the boys, like
Hmm.
her friends are boys, and she led them all to all cut themselves, really for no good reason that mom could figure out. So what's interesting is as we're going through the clearing, we come to like this past life where from Atlantis, right? Where she was like cursed by a witch or something.
Yeah, I think was she a fairy in that lifetime?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was just a free bird, like a free fairy going
Hmm.
around spreading joy. Nothing really more to it. Like just being herself and authentic and clear, happy.
Hmm. Yeah. And then the witch, let me see. Let me, what happened with the witch then?
I I feel like she encapsulated her. Remember, it was
Yeah.
like inside a capsule or something like that. There was
Yeah.
others too, but I saw
Yeah.
her. We were able to free the others as well, but encapsulated of their life force and was sucking the youth. Was it youth or something? Was it? Maybe I'm mixing a session with someone else, but sucking the energy.
Yeah. They're siphoning the life force of
Yeah,
those souls.
and and then because they remained encapsulated, it feels as if like, following the other lifetimes was also, well, similarly enough, she was in a way encapsulated in her own energy inside like that, and having this energy, around, even though it was a benevolent one or a nice one that is still, not allowing for her to be sovereign and free and to spread her
Expand.
joy, yeah, and expand. Um, we saw that there was a little bit of, was it occult ritual? Was that it? Or witchcraft? I don't know which one it was that came through.
We saw that the actual cutting that she did with the boys was a blood ritual because the witch energy was working through her in that moment in order to siphon the innocence and soul essence of the others too.
Mm. Oh yeah, and to contract them in, like as a subcontract or whatever, through
Mhm.
that.
Through that blood ritual.
Yeah,
So basically, when they were cutting, they were offering their blood to the witch,
right.
right? Um, yeah. So then we had to reverse and undo all of that so that these other children wouldn't be affected as well as M, because she wasn't conscious of what she was doing. I don't even think she really knew why she was doing it. In the physical, she really didn't have a good reason for why. And that's also why she was uncomfortable with girls, was because of this witch. She was more drawn to hanging out with the boys because she had this feminine energy that had been following her through all of these lifetimes since Atlantis. So,
Right.
yeah, yeah, that was a really interesting case. And mom told us afterwards that so much resonated from this session, and that she's been like obsessed with fairies. She loves fairies. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool to know.
And also being in that fairy energy was also a reason why she wasn't fully anchored like into the body. She was like used to flying, so she has that um energy.
Hmm.
Hmm.
just rewinding, we had I mean we had like another child session this summer that was ended up being having devastating results, not because of what happened with us, but just because what happened? She was fine one day, and then the next day she kind of collapsed and went into a coma. Was that it? She had, upon speaking to the family, we learned that she had two shots and a booster. So we're like, okay, she was 12, and they're like, we don't know, she's in perfect health. And uh the one family member had a dream of her being in a dark space. And so they were referred to us to kind of like retrieve her, or to at least do an energy clearing, because they were at the point of extraordinary measures. So we're usually the extraordinary measures. We gave her an RSR surrogate, right? And we were able to retrieve her in this really weird, what felt like a was it like a labyrinth again?
Mhm.
And in a really dark space. Like I think there's mirrors everywhere, if I recall, and really
Mhm.
trying to find her. We were able, thankfully, to retrieve her and to reconnect her to her body, and to integrate it as much as we possibly could. At that point, we were at a fork in the road in which it's like the choice point of I will recover or it's done. Like, but at least knowing that she was intact, and not lost. That was really the goal, I felt, and just
Yeah.
hoped that, if it does turn for the best, then amazing, and if not, at least she was not lost. Um, she had some pretty like profound results from that clearing, where she was actually moving her toes or fingers. Like, she had movement, and she hadn't had movement since she was hospitalized. So that was huge. At least an indication to say, like, I'm here.
Yeah. And mom said she could feel her energy again, that she was back in the body. So,
Yeah. So um unfortunately, she, it didn't go as planned. I mean, like, as the family had hoped, of course, and she got sick and she eventually left. But
the body was just too damaged at that
it
point.
was it was far out at that point when they had reached us. I think she was in hospital already for quite some time, that the
Mhm.
separation of the spirit or soul with the body was long, and that the recovery point from there was, I mean, it was really like a cross your finger type thing. Like, let's hope that she'll come back. But
Mhm.
she did show signs of it, but the body was already um too injured.
Yeah. And same thing, we saw that with those shots, the technology just, you know, self replicated and really took over the
Yeah,
body.
yeah, we saw a lot of the nanotech in the body and how it had, but that's usually like that's the stuff that we've seen, with people who have had the shot and how they eject. That's why she was out. She was gone. And taken to the astral realm somewhere, like lost in there.
Yeah, but you've had like a big standoff with some demon, right? That
Oh
had her trapped
yeah.
there.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because I was holding her and I was I was doing like pushing the fucking demon like I was 11. Like, it was pretty intense. I don't know how that would that's what it was. It was intense,
Yeah.
right? Right. And this is sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, finish.
I was just gonna say people don't realize the ramifications of these shots and what they're doing.
No. No, because it's like, again, they're just running on the program, and it's another system that we have to break through. And until they're ready to really understand the the ramifications. It's a huge pill to swallow. I mean, like saying to us that she was in complete health, good health, not understanding why, and in a way, kind of proudly saying she's like, no, she's healthy because she got the 3 shots. And I was like, ugh, my heart sank when she said it. I was like, oh fuck, there it is. I was worried that it was like a bad shedding case because I'm like, that's really intense.
What do you mean?
But like, I mean, if that happened to her and it was from shedding,
Hmm.
and she's 12, there was just a lot of weird stuff that was on there. But yeah, I was going on another line of conversation talking about like how we had to go retrieve this little gal and battle it off with a demon. I mean, I don't know if people understand again the kind of work that we do and putting ourselves in, like we say, like when we're connecting with your energy, let's say for an RSR or whatever session in general, um, we are putting ourselves in your field. So if you're highly targeted or you have a lot of shit going on psychically, physically, um, through all time and space, and having a lot of issues working, with demons and satanic energies, false light, your inner children that are, traumatized, the trauma itself, the intense emotional body that is suppressed. There's a lot of layers of this stuff. And we go into that field, like we go into your home and we put ourselves in that energy to help, to relieve, to remove what we can, what's ready to go. You know, there's, I find sometimes there's a high expectation that we will perform miracles. Sometimes there are miracles. Sometimes it takes more than one session to clear everything. But even at that, in this matrix, you're going to keep working and working and working until it becomes manageable, back to manageable. Because us ourselves are always battling our own shit, but it's become manageable. We find ways and we have tools to do so. And we want to teach people those tools to do so. But it feels as if like there's not an understanding of putting ourselves in what you perceive as your own hell. We're going into your hell and we're leaving ourselves open to the hell realm. And yeah, we get emails sometimes saying like, I'm just giving you a heads up, I just want to make sure that you're protected and you're okay. I appreciate emails like that. I appreciate that because you have some kind of understanding of what we have to deal with. And sometimes we work with multiple clients in a row. Sometimes we have 3 or 4 in one day of having to go deep in there. And it's like sometimes it's really frustrating, to receive a message and saying like, well, why, like my situation is worse because of what you did or didn't do. After we've laid out our disclaimers of what it takes, the work that it takes to get you to the space of managing it. It takes a lot of time, patience, effort, and
Commitment, an investment.
commitment. Yes, investment. If you think our fees are a lot, you have to understand what we are doing. You need to understand that what we're asking for is just an energy exchange for, like at the price of, what's it going to take for you to, what would you pay to regain back your freedom, to guide you back to freedom? If you've been suffering all this time, it's like, what's it going to take? We really find that our fees are actually very reasonable for what we do. It's not easy for Tina to hold space for me to go in somewhere into the astral realm or in the devil's basement to go retrieve a spirit and have to fight off all these entities coming back through the multi layers. It's hard on the body. It's very taxing on the body. And having to live regular lives. Like, I gotta go change my fucking tires and go to PTAs. It's not easy, but we manage because we have the tools to manage. We've done enough work. I've done a lot of work on myself, and I'm still and always doing work on myself, always. And it's not easy. I'm managing myself while I'm helping to assist somebody. I'm not healing nobody. I'm assisting in clearing what we can in, and then having them come in and teaching them how to do it. That's the goal. So that you don't need healers. People come in with multiple healers, and by the time they get to us, they don't have any more money and they don't want to invest because they've been traumatized from the 50 other healers that fucked them over. We've seen with our work, and you could see it with our testimonials, that our work has had results, positive results, but we always leave a disclaimer: we're not going to heal you. You have to do the work. We are just going to show you how to do it. We will show you the way, because by way of our own applying it to ourselves, knowing and learning hard ways and some easy to get to a space of quality of life here, if that may, if that is what you desire. But it's like it's kind of insulting when there's that kind of ignorance and condescending tone of like,
Fix it for me.
yeah, please, not even a please, but fix it. I paid you a lot of money, so fix it. It's condescending. I'm sorry, and I don't want to work with people like that, because I am not your remedy. You are your own remedy. I'll just show you how to take the medicine appropriately.
Yeah.
But did I get high pitch there?
A
No, I
little.
didn't. I was okay. Good. Improvement.
Yeah, well, I think what we do is all rooted around self-healing.
Believe
Self-healing.
100 million%.
And we always tell people RSR is only the first step. And we lay out a plan. Here's a plan that will help you get the jump start that you need and the tools that you need to be able to manage the attacks, because they don't ever really stop.
No,
They don't ever really stop. You
they
just
fucking don't.
learn how to manage better.
Right. Not give your power away or be like,
Have less access points because your vulnerability makes you vulnerable
right.
to access. You clean up some past lives, you release trauma from this life, you explore your consciousness to see where are all these connections, how are they still getting into my field, etc., etc. RSR is always just the first step and big cleanup of your field. For some people, it is like a miracle. And for some who have been targeted for a really long time, they need extra help. And
Extra and time. Like, it's understanding. You need to be educated on how energy works. That's for sure. If you have no idea how it works, you're going to keep going to, finding someone else, a healer, multiple healers to do the work. And if you're not understanding again how the energy is, they could have entities themselves and then pass them on to you. Like, you working with them is a contract. And so that gives them the okay to come on in. Well, let's go there.
right. And again, that's not being sovereign. We're teaching you how to be sovereign, how to be free, not dependent, not codependent. but how to really take control of your life and your energy. We're not here to
Yeah,
do the work for you. We're only guides.
right. Right. It takes a lot of dedication and having to face the hard things, but there are breakthroughs through seeing and healing the hard things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. We never guarantee anything because it's really up to the individual to take accountability for themselves, just as we have taken accountability for ourselves in our own healing.
Yeah. And the session results, there's so many variables involved in that. One being how open is this, how receptive is this person? How big
Yeah,
is the ego? Is the ego going to get in the way of the healing, which often happens?
right. There's so much parts of the self that need the healing. It's not just, clear me up, beam me up, Scotty. And it's all like great, hunky dory.
Yeah.
I wish it were fucking like that.
Yeah.
I wish.
But then there are other people that, have amazing results because they're open and receptive and they have their
And they
ego
do
in
the
check
homework.
and they do the homework and they take the suggestions and they're not nitpicking and critical of every little thing. You know, it's
Yeah.
where are you putting your energy? Are you stuck in your head or are you heart based? Are you
Hmm.
leading with the heart? And if you're not, your head's going to get you in trouble. And those entities are going to be hooking in to your thoughts and taking advantage and keeping you in a disempowered state because you're not humble enough to see where your shadow is leading you astray.
Yeah, I understand that's fucking difficult to see your shadow, to see yourself, to be put in in a certain place where you're vulnerable and doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good for anybody. It's hard having to face yourself. It's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can only help those that are ready, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I was just wanting to, stress the kind of work, like if you are looking for someone to assist you and not do the work for you, we're your people. But if you're looking for someone to do it all the time, we're not your people. Like we're just not gonna, it's not gonna work. Because if you have that dependence on someone or you don't even realize your own inner power, we could get you to maybe one day like understand like that you are all the power you need. But if you're not there yet, then yeah, you can go through that long route and like having people do it for you. But there's always going to be that maintenance needing to get your chakras rebalanced every week. It's a lot. We don't do work like that. We really go deep dive because we feel and we know and we've seen for ourselves in our own selves and in others who have followed, our protocols or who, through our suggestions of the kind of inner work you need to do. But you have to do it. You have to actually apply it to your life. You could go through a whole empowerment package and then it goes back to shit again because you're not doing the actual healing or the continued process of checking in with the self, clearing what's there. You know, if you're still getting triggered by others, then there's still shit inside. Like that's where you need to go. Everything is always mirroring back to you what you need to do within.
Yeah, I think what people don't realize is the extent of the energy that we have trapped in our systems, not just from this lifetime, but other lives as well. We carried it all into this life with us, and that trapped energy is like, it's like you have this beautiful light. Imagine your body's made of light and it has all these black splotches on it, and each of those black splotches is a place where it's going to be a vibrational match to another dark splotchy entity over here. And that entity is going to be able to access you there because it's still a dark splotch on your light body, on your energy system. And until you start to understand, what is this spot here? How did this spot get here? Is this spot from me, or did somebody else put this spot here? And then is this my stored energy, or does it come from this life? Does it come from a past life? Is it connected to a memory? Is it connected
Or
to
an
an
implant?
emotion? Is it an implant? Is it an entity itself? These are all the questions we have to ask, because most humans, if you haven't done this kind of work yet, are walking around with splotches all over.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why some people feel relief after sessions because they've had it all removed. But again, if you have that access point, those splotch access points, they're always going to come back, guaranteed. If not in another face, in another experience, it's always going to come back in a different way. That's why people are like, "Oh, same thing happened again," or "I always attract the same person and I always do, it's always the same Groundhog Day over and over again." That's it. That's what you need to explore. And it takes a lot of dedication and time to face it and heal. Healing, sometimes you could, let's say, for me, I always talk about like how sometimes like there's some mental things that I have to go through, and it's always repeating and repeating, but it's just layers and layers of having to heal and move with it. Know that it's happening. Know that you're moving forward. Because if you're willing to keep, you know, working with it or trying to address a part that might still be repeating and repeating, then you can get to know and understand why, or at least the vulnerability or what memory or whatever it is that comes up that keeps putting it there. And this is also like some other convoluted shit, is that realizing that if you're always in a tailspin of healing, that could also be an access point. They just want you to keep chasing your tail. So there has to be balance in, like, you had a really shitty go, rough nights, tough situations, with coworkers or family or whatever it is, no money. Like, we have to look at the why. You have to find the why. Find the why and try to create, again, quality of life here and balance. Because it's like, if you're always like, perpetuating the misery and victimhood and the why me's and the blaming game, etc., we have to understand, like, it's so compact of what needs to be done. The unloading of everything, trying to look at the traumas and trying to understand the traumas and why things are attracting like that, coming into your field.
And how that trauma has shaped your life,
Yes. And your perception.
yeah, and why you respond in the way that you do, and the patterns that are playing out.
Yeah. It's a huge puzzle piece. But again, that's why it takes a lot of patience and dedication.
And that's why we're not for everybody. We're
No,
not.
no, we're not. We're literally like chess players. Like, we're just, because it always gets deeper and deeper, even through our own findings and our own, whatever we find in sessions. It's way beyond Reiki. Way beyond it. We're not, yeah, we're really not yeah, you really have to, I think you really have to be through extraordinary measures if you want to, like, if nothing has ever worked and you're really trying to find a solution, like genuinely trying to find a solution. Yeah.
Yeah, because most people will like try everything else, anything not to look at themselves, you know? And I did that for a long time. Anything not to look at myself. Running,
Yeah.
avoiding.
Because you really hope that it's not you, or it's hard. Again, it's like, when someone mirrors yourself, it doesn't feel good. The fuck wants to say, like, admit that there's something wrong or there's something weird about you? Quirk. Who the fuck wants to see that? Like, yeah, sorry, I hurt you again. It sucks. But then you get over yourself and you face it and do something about it.
Yeah.
Whoops a daisy. Oh, another plane's flying.
I'm wondering how many of you guys have had lots of planes and helicopters flying around.
No helicopters, I have to say. It's very rare. Very rare. At least in my corner. But this whole airplane thing is fairly new. They usually don't take this, like, this is not a route, but
My
it's
neighbor,
happening more.
my neighbor just mentioned to me the other day. She's like, "Yeah, now there's a airplane route or whatever it's called that's flying over."
Right.
And I had to go, so I didn't even think to ask her what she meant by that. But I have noticed like a lot more planes flying around and well, helicopters all the time. Um, but the other day we had a session and our client was sitting outside in New York and literally like the helicopters were
Yeah.
flying right over her
A
nonstop.
lot. A lot. Like excessively. Like I've never heard it that much. As if like she was on a military base or something, like some kind of helicopter landing pad was next to her. I don't even know
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
Like,
And she said there were two at one point, like a black one and a dark blue one.
yeah.
And yeah, they were just there, like coming nonstop. And at one point, my screen went totally blank. First of all, there was
Yeah.
tons of interference, and my
Kicked you out
screen
of the meeting.
kicked me out of the meeting. Yeah, that was shady AF. I don't know what they were up to, but I did see later that there were exercises going on in different parts of the US. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Specific planes take specific routes where they take off in, how they have to take off in a line and people come landing in on a certain line.
Hmm.
Yeah, because it's like a highway up there. Like they have their specific ways. But this is new. This, like, as if they built a new bridge here and they're like, oh, take that way. There's gonna be less traffic if you go that way.
I wanted to see what she meant by that because I've noticed the highway that starts here, but only after the sun goes down.
That's weird.
Yeah. And then these planes start flying over this way, but only after the sun goes down. So I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm sure you can search that.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else that comes to mind?
I don't think so. I mean, there's always I would like to share that session of M in our, if mom gives permission,
Mhm.
because it was a really interesting one.
Yeah, it was.
And um yeah, I don't know if there's any other sessions that we can also share that I find were very helpful. But yeah, again, like we're here. I mean, like you don't have to go the whole 9 yards with us. Like we still do the remote spirit release, which is just a thorough energetic cleanse of your field and then see how it goes. But usually, if you're again in that category of, are you sick of suffering?
Mhm.
Are you tired of going to healers and can't find resolution? Yeah. Are you having bad dreams? Do you have a lot of things that keep repeating in yourself or issues that are coming up in your body, stress points, pains, whatever it is? Usually that's it. A lot of it is energetic. It is energetic, and you want to clear that out. So we do have other methods in which like we can guide you and do it in tandem as well, like an exploration of the body, which is usually where all the trauma is stored, right? So we want to address what is going on there so that we can help heal and to teach you how to do it too, and to feel comfortable doing it, and to yeah, to go through the methods of
Yeah.
release.
Because basically, in those sessions, we're teaching you how to clear yourself
Hmm.
so that you don't have to depend on anyone, but that you can make it a daily practice.
Yeah. Or you can always just do RSRs. Like we can do that for you. It's like we do, it is pretty deep. I find RSRs are pretty deep. Um, but yes, the good place to start, the place that we recommend to start. And we do it very thoroughly. And there's some clients that they just sign up to have clearings every 3 months. And they're just put on the queue and we clear them every 3 months. They get relief and they go on their merry way. But that doesn't mean that shit's not still not there. It's like again, we're just doing the healer route, like the conventional healer way.
Mm-hmm. And well, one other thing to consider too is sometimes when people are highly targeted, there can be backlash after a clearing.
Oh yeah. They'll backhand you hard. That's why we highly suggest like you need to keep the momentum of the sessions.
Yeah.
That way we can have integration calls to give you more advice or to talk about things so that we can clear up and give you an education of what's happening on the energetic level, and to know like where you distributing your power, like what we try to find resolution to help you in your everyday life so that it's not taking away from your quality of life every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we have methods that we have found to be very helpful. Body scans are definitely a plus. At least 3 body scans would be, like enough to help assist you in the clearing. That way, like when it's when we let you free to be able to do them on your own. We don't ask you to do 3 because it's like, because a lot of people usually have like by the time they get to us, it's all compacted in there, or not even realizing that how traumatized they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a
So
human, you're traumatized. It's just,
yeah, that's just what it is.
yeah.
I even had to clear our cat last night.
Oh my God.
We had to clear the cat.
It's,
I had to clear Coco too. We have to do clearings on Coco almost on a daily.
mm,
It's just what it is. Pets are usually very more like open, just like how children are, very resilient and are very open to the work. But yeah, I
but they're
mean,
also easily targeted.
yeah. And then place that with a highly targeted individual. It's like a double target. And then we come to visit and we're just like a whole target family.
Oh, that clearing really helped him a lot. He slept well, I don't know if he slept, but he was quiet for 6 hours. So that was good.
Yeah. See, after she had experienced that, you know, the cat was up at all hours of the night and, jumping on the window, getting off the window, doing zoomies, coming in, crying, meowing, hungry, like play, needy. Sounds like me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was definitely tracking stuff around the room. I was watching him. You seeing something?
Did we tell people we got a cat?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay, we got a cat. And
Coco
that's it.
died. I don't know if we talked about that, but Coco died. It was really traumatic. And then Bubba came along.
Bubba Kitty.
I think he is Coco. I think he dropped out of some portal. He has the same little mark on his back leg. And a lot of other strange coinkydinks. Yeah.
Yeah, just like the pink. Did Coco have the pink collar thing? Not collar, but like
The
or
harness.
was that, yeah?
It was red.
No, not that one. The one when Bud was still around.
Oh, the pink leash?
Yeah. Was that
Yeah.
Coco or yeah, see? And then we got Bubba a pink one too, because I thought it was a girl. I misgendered him.
Yeah, this cat. So that was really interesting because I know all the cats pretty much out back. Like there's a feral cat population here. And then the ones out back on my place there's a couple ferals, but then some that wander in from the houses back there. Um, but Bubba came out of nowhere and just appeared one day. And it was like, yeah, super friendly and came right over to me. The feral cats don't do that. Um, so yeah, and then when I was like researching to see, I posted him on all the lost cat things because I thought he has to be somebody's cat. And nobody claimed him. But what I was seeing was that the same, like
Almost the same type.
almost the same type of cat, like looked so similar to Bubba, were showing up in people's yards. Like
Yeah,
it
like a
just,
tabby cat type.
yeah, with, oh my God, even the notary that came over said that he had a cat that looked just like Bubba that was coming to his house. And I'm like, this is so weird.
Yeah.
Where are these cats coming from? And why are they showing up for people? And what it felt like, it was like this really strong Lyran energy that was coming in to assist us in protection because the cats are they can manage their energy systems better than dogs. They're less
Yeah, they're more independent.
more independent. They're more
Just as they
independent.
say they are. They're not
Yeah.
as needy as dogs are, but they're very independent. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like yeah, they're just like walking in through portals or something, showing up in
That's how we
people's
saw it.
yards. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, there seemed to be like an uptick of people seeing the same cats or adopting the same cats, the same breed or something
Yeah.
like that. Because even when I was watching what's it called? That Sex and the City show at your place, there was a kitty that was in an episode that she had adopted. And she ended up adopting it in real life because it was also a stray, the same
Mm.
breed.
Yeah. It's
And
wild.
she named it Lotus.
Speaking of TV, so back to like the case with the little girl that was in the hospital. What like what's so crazy about that was that we happened to watch the movie Insidious, which I had seen before, but Karen had never saw it. I don't even know how or why it came up, but it did. And everything that was happening in that movie was like so relevant to what was happening with that case.
Oh yeah,
How wild was that?
right. That was crazy.
Yeah. Because it's about astral traveling or like getting stuck in the astral. And in the first movie, it was the little boy that was stuck there, right? He was in the coma. The little boy was in the
Oh
coma.
right.
He was stuck in the astral and they called in the psychic. What was her name?
I don't remember.
Elise?
Oh
Elise?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. They called in the psychic. Oh, well, spoiler alert if you guys haven't seen it yet, but and she explained to the family that the demon had taken the little boy and trapped him in the lower astral. She had to go. No, she didn't. She couldn't retrieve him, right? She had to send the dad in
Yeah, because he was
because
a traveler.
he was an experienced traveler, which he totally had forgot about because he shut it completely out of his mind.
Mm-hmm.
When he was a
Right.
little boy, he would travel
Yeah. They called the deeper and lower astrals the further.
the further. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking far. There you go. I've gone in the further.
Yeah.
Smells there. Stinks.
But the same thing that was happening in that movie is what happened to the little girl.
Umbrella client. Yeah, it's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, there's a lot of those kind of synchronicities that were happening in the summertime. Just like,
Yeah. And then we had to watch the whole series of Insidious. And there
yeah,
were things that related to each movie. But the first two, I think, were the best.
yeah, we haven't seen
Because
the fifth one.
what was the other one that I thought that I wanted to talk about because it was so, the way they did these movies was so real to life and what actually happens. Wasn't
Yeah,
the
because they just got a psychic. They didn't have to do any like traditional because we also watched like some exorcism type movies as well
Yeah.
around that time.
Yeah, I
Um
liked how there was no religious dogma around it. It wasn't like a Catholic exorcist. She was just a psychic, a woman who could connect. And yeah, that was it. There's no beliefs that were injected into it. So it just really showed you that everyday people could do this kind of work without having to believe in the dogma or worship any god.
yeah, I didn't know that I was gonna do this work. I fucking didn't. It was never in my awareness or vicinity ever because I never attuned myself to becoming like to that I was a medium or had the even the ability to do so. Everybody, yes, has the ability to do so. I did not partake myself as one of them at all whatsoever. I didn't know that my dissociation, my abilities to dissociate and to have an imagination were pertinent. Were like check check makes you a great candidate.
Yeah. There was so one of the other cases in that movie, it was with the girl, right? Wasn't she sick or something?
She's the one who ended up in a body cast.
Yeah.
That was terrible. That was a terrible one. I mean, like I felt so bad for her. Uh, she started out with a neck brace and ended up like keep getting her ass kicked.
But she was getting her ass kicked by the entity, right?
Yeah, it was a high level entity or earthbound. Was it earthbound that had an entity attached? You know what I
Yes.
mean? I don't remember
Yeah.
like that. And which is true. We've seen
Yeah.
some fucked up like earthbounds that have had high level entities attached to them, which is
Every
why they are earthbound.
yeah.
They can't leave.
Everything that happens in those movies is real to what actually happens. I mean, of course, it's a little bit more dramatized, but it's real. Like how it actually affects the little boy in the coma or the girl, getting assaulted by these entities and earthbounds or Elise, wasn't Elise trapped in the further? Like she couldn't get out or something?
Yeah, because she had her own story too.
Yeah.
Like talking about her as a child as a medium,
Hmm.
and then seeing how demons or whatever entities influence people in the everyday, and and how they are possessed in the way to do the fucking things that they do. Yeah, it was really well done.
It was really well done. Really true to life, like how they actually work
Yeah.
and have and can have real physical effects, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And influence on your actions, the way you think, how they can become parasitic, implant thoughts, make you do things, uh, make you
Possess
become
you.
abusive. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's really good. Oh, we have to watch the fifth one now.
Oh,
We're gonna have
that's
to
right.
rent that one.
That's why we watch them, right? Because we want
Yeah,
to.
because the
The
fifth
fifth
one was
one was
coming out.
out.
Yeah, I was at the movie theater.
I was like, you
So we're
never
like,
saw Insidious? That was really good.
yeah. And then we went on a rabbit hole.
Hmm. Yeah, it's totally worth it because um, well, the third and fourth ones kind of got like iffy, but I
But
thought that
still important. I mean, like they
still
still had
relevant.
pretty
Yeah.
good information about, more so about not the storyline itself, but just like how energy works.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least true to form in the way that we experience it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Minus the scary music in the background.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah. Well, it was good to catch up a little bit. Like, I don't think, wait, was there anything else we had to talk about? Oh, yeah. For our next chat, I wanted to talk about um, the transhumanism and autism, the link to autism and all of that stuff. And maybe one day for a future video, I will show you the wires that were coming out of my finger. Maybe do a compilation video.
yeah, we still have to do that. A compilation video
Yeah.
with the disappearing wires.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to contribute to our fund of buying a triangle, this is trying times. And yeah, that's on a wish list. Two
Yeah.
triangles. Two
Triangle.
triangles for, yeah,
Yeah.
for my family and for Tina. Because I need to detox my kids, myself and my kids, and Tina's gonna detox herself. So yeah, that's on our wish list. Triangles. We'll link that information down below. If you'd like to contribute to our triangle fund, that would be nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for those who have stayed till the end. We appreciate you very much. And this whole hosting thing feels like riding like on a bike, although I can't talk. And for those who are new here, thank you for joining. And, if you want to look into our work, you could check out our website at Quantum Healing with Tina, TENA.com. You could email us also at the same name, but at gmail.com. We'd be happy to assist you in any way, answer any questions. And yeah, we would love to meet you and to help you in any way that we can. If any of our work resonates, that's awesome. That means that, more people are on board because they're fucking sick of suffering. You got to be sick of suffering. So sick of it. So we are here anyway for anything that you need. Even if you just have any questions and want to chat, we're here also for that too. So hopefully we'll see you in the next video. Hopefully it won't come so far away, like another part of our quarterly videos, like every 3 months. But we do hope to get back into this routine, and we will see you again next time. Take care,
Enough
everybody.
said.
Peace.
Bye, guys.